Great crowd, first time back in 4 or 5 weeks with Tuesday Talk, and so it's great to be back, and it's great to have such a loud and enthusiastic crowd. So to get us started this morning, I'm going to turn it over to Robin, who has some exciting announcements for us.
I'll tell you, just getting together in a big group and seeing all these smiling faces is pretty exciting, don't you think?
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. We haven't seen each other for a while, so many things are happening. I'm going to talk about 3, and then Andrea Hagner is going to talk about a 4th, and they're all kind of important. So think about attending. We've entered the fall season. As you know, you see leaves and pumpkins around, and there are flyers up talking about things. And I ask you to consider participating in some of them. The first one is the Souvenirs. How many of you do not know what the Souvenirs is? Anybody?
The what?
There are a couple of new people who don't. The Souvenirs. Once a month, residents put on a show in song and laughter, and we have a good time. Well, we didn't get to do that in October. So October and November's Souvenirs have been combined into a spooky Thanksgiving spectacular. But because of our restrictions in number of people, we'll have 2 shows. The North Building will do their show at 1 o'clock, and the South Building will do theirs at 2:30. They're in the South Lobby. And that is November 1st, so mark your calendars. Okay.
Sign up. Sign up.
Oh, you're right. Absolutely. You need to sign up. I had that written down here too. Because we can only take 60 people per thing, so sign up. Secondly, FLYCRA. The annual FLYCRA conference is taking place November 3rd. Now this is it's going to be a Zoom meeting like it was last year. Worked really well. Everybody who wants to come, just come on in here into the town hall it starts at 9 and we'll end at 12:15. There will be a series of activities, but the ones that you'll be most interested in, I think, are the best practices of what's going on in the other FLYCRA locations around our area, and also to meet the directors and ask questions. And that's what I wanted to talk with y'all about. If you have any questions for FLYCRA, if you would be kind enough to write those down and get them to me via email or call me on the phone, I will try to get those questions to them in advance, because they are going to answer questions from us. Also, if you have a question during the meeting, you can just bring that question and we'll ask it here. But I hope we'll see you here on November 3rd. One tiny little
Coffee.
Oh, incentive. There'll be muffins and coffee. Thank you. Okay, lastly, I just wanted to mention something else I discovered that not everybody knows. We do have recycling here. Cardboard. And there are people, surprisingly, who did not know that we could recycle our boxes, our own boxes. So there's a place in each building. In the South Building here, you just go into the door and look to the right, and there's a big, what do you call those things? Yeah, that thing. It's all cardboard. Up your cardboard in there. And in the North Building, there's a similar place. Now, the most exciting news of the day is going to come from Andrea, so I'll invite her up here.
I'm not sure it's quite as exciting as she makes it sound like, but the holidays are almost here, right?
8 weeks.
Yeah, and it gets faster and faster. One of the things that we do here at Regency Oaks is make sure that our associates have something special as the holidays approach. All year long, we've been collecting money. The last day to contribute is November 29th. December 3rd, which is a Friday, we will be distributing the checks. So, if you've been putting off making your contribution, get it in. The sooner you get it in, the easier it will be for me to calculate out how much everybody gets. And I'm not that great at math, so you have to make sure that you give me time, okay? It should be fun. December 3rd will be the distribution. Unfortunately, we can't have a party that we are included in this year because of COVID problems, still. But we'll put a party on for the associates, and hopefully they'll have a good time and they'll get their checks. So, anybody have any questions? All right, done.
Long-termers, you may recall back before COVID 2 years ago, it was sort of common that we would start a Tuesday talk with a couple of dad jokes that were supplied to me by Blake. And Blake was one of my grandkids. Well, Blake went off to college this year. And so that's how long that tradition goes back. And so he just happened to be home for the weekend. And he said, "Hey, Granddad, do you still use my jokes to start Tuesday talk?" You know, I haven't done that in a while, but that's a tradition that it would be worthy of returning. So I've got a couple of really bad dad jokes to share. Next slide. Okay, the first one is a quandary. If a man is always wrong and a woman is always right, if you tell her she is right, are you wrong? So I tried that on Pat this weekend. It did not go over that well. Number 2, what do you call a cow without legs?
Steak?
Steak?
Ouch.
That would be ground beef. And finally, what do you call a cow who has given birth? Decaffeinated. Decaffeinated. Okay. All right. On to the next slide. So, COVID news. By late September, the total COVID death toll appeared to surpass that of the 1918 flu pandemic, and the 7-day average number of deaths had again climbed above 2,000 per day for the first time since March. However, the overall numbers of new infections had begun to drop again. And so it's that last sentence that we really want to focus on, is the deaths are still high. More than 90% of the fatalities from COVID at this point are from unvaccinated Americans, and that number continues to be very high. But we have seen a significant reduction in the overall infection rates. Next slide. So here's the weekly situation report. 106 deaths here in the state of Florida, but look at that new positivity rate. It's at 3.4%. Yay. And so you'll remember it wasn't that long ago, mid-August, where that rate was the actual rate when you included both lab and rapid testing. It was up around 30%. So significantly improved in the state of Florida. And for Pinellas County, we're at 3%. So we're even lower than that. Has a lot of ramifications in terms of what we're allowed to do and how we test. At this point, skilled nursing is only required to test on a monthly basis because the positivity rate is so low. So those are great indicators. Next slide. Positivity rate for Pinellas County, 3%. Regency Oaks has had no new cases in 5 weeks. Yay. The resident booster clinics were held across all levels of care. So we've completed them for assisted living, skilled nursing, and independent living. Anyone who has not had an opportunity to get a booster, you can still do that. At this point, I have the J&J, the Moderna, and the Pfizer. I can get you a booster if you need it. It's not on demand, but almost. If you tell me today, 48 hours later, I can have the dose and we can administer it in-house through our nursing team. So if you haven't gotten that booster and still would like to do so, you can do that directly through us. You also can go to any of the local pharmacies, Walgreens, CVS, they're all providing boosters. It just may be more convenient to do it here. And then as of October 15th, all of our staff has been vaccinated, and we are now working on boosters for some of the staff who had their early initial boosters back in December of last year. So all positive news. Next slide. So what are we watching? What's keeping us up at night? What are we concerned about? It's this Epsilon variant. That's it follows D. That's, I guess, by design, but it's originated in California. We've not seen much of an outbreak. They say it's less than 200 cases in the United States so far. It's far more infectious than the Delta or the original COVID variant. But this is sort of the way it starts, is it gets a foothold and then somebody gets on an airplane or they go to a mass spreading event and we see it spread. Here are the two things that they're anxious about. It is thought to be about 70% less vulnerable to the COVID vaccine. And so the COVID protection that you get from the boosters and being vaccinated, it's not as effective with the Epsilon variant as it is the Delta. And more importantly, it appears that it is not responding to antibiotic treatments as well as it did with original COVID and the Delta variant. So that's what's coming down the pike. We'll continue to watch it. But overall, again, the thing that's most important for Regency Oaks, we don't have any staff, we don't have any residents across any of our buildings that are showing any signs or symptoms of COVID. There are no new cases, and so we're looking good. Next slide. So let's talk about staffing, and that's our next big challenge that we're going to move to. Next slide. 5 things that I wanted to share. So the first is the back door is closed. We're no longer losing people who chose not to get vaccinated. And so we've had our staffing, we've really been hit with a double whammy over the last couple of weeks. Because not only do you have the normal attrition where you lose 3 or 4 people on a monthly basis that have an opportunity to go elsewhere or their spouses get relocated, that's just normal routine attrition, but having made the decision to vaccinate all of the associates, those individuals who chose not to get vaccinated, we have been slowly losing. So we introduced that concept or that new regulation just about 60 days ago. And at the time, we had 201 associates here at Regency Oaks who had not been vaccinated. And so we have slowly been losing those individuals as they choose to go elsewhere and try to find employment where they were not going to be required to be vaccinated, or they left the work field altogether. On the last day, which was the 15th, Friday, a week ago, we lost 27 associates on that one day, all who decided not to be vaccinated. We've been slowly hiring, and that's the second point that I want to make is over the last few months, we've been averaging more than 20 new hires in foundations. And so eventually, now that the back door is shut and our hiring continues to go forward, the number of people we are going to hire will replace the number of people that we lose through attrition, and we should start to see a net gain in employees. That wasn't happening as long as the back door was wide open and we were losing associates who chose not to get vaccinated. We were losing more associates than we could hire. Now that we've sort of solved the one problem, I think we'll start to see some progress over the next problem. Recruiting and approval, market wage adjustments, both of those are going to help. Brooke Smith is our in-house recruiter, and she just does a fabulous job. And so we've seen increase in traffic. We went through a litany, Sandra and I, before she left, went through a litany of all the things that we're doing in order to attract and retain associates. It's a very comprehensive, very aggressive approach, and that's beginning to make a difference as well. One of the other things that we've recognized is that it's our long-term staff. Those are the individuals that it's going to become critical to retain. They are the strength and the backbone of Regency Oaks. We are always going to have CNAs and servers that come in and they work a couple of months and then they move on because there are sporting events or their grades begin to slip or the parents say, I'm tired of you working, or whatever that scenario is. But the strength of our building has always been those long-term associates who have been here for 5 or more years, who are loyal and dedicated to the residents and committed to what they do. And so a lot of our focus has shifted not only on recruiting new associates, but to make sure that we retain those long-term associates who give us the best opportunity to get back to a stable staff. So 3 or 4 months is what we're anticipating in order to return to our historic level of staffing. And we get that math. If we're hiring 20 and instead of losing 30 a month, we only lose 5 a month, then we're going to have a net gain of 10 to 15 on a monthly basis. We have about 34 vacancies, and so we anticipate that it's going to be 3 to 4 months of net positive gains in order to get back to full staffing. This is very hard to read, but it's a flyer. How many of you have seen this flyer out and about? Okay, it's out there. One of the opportunities that we have is, this came from another community. We thought it was a great idea, and so we stole it from them. But particularly during this transitional period over the next 3 months, there are things that residents can do who want to help. And I've had residents come up and say, I want to help. This is my home. I want to contribute. This is a problem that it's just not related to management and the staff. This is my home and I want to be a part of the solution. And so we are finding ways where you can participate. And we're identifying volunteer opportunities. You can assist with greeting, manning the front desk, helping with dining deliveries, pickups in the dining room, setups and cleanups in the dining rooms, walking rounds, facilitating programs, bingo, trivia, and employee and resident appreciation efforts. So if you're interested in volunteering and giving something back, there are lots of opportunities for you to do so. Tiffany and Leslie are happy to share more information and align you with your interest and available opportunities if this is something you feel like you'd like to make a difference on. Next slide. There are no more slides. Okay. Okay, just a little bit more data on the surveys. We extended the survey deadline, the resident satisfaction survey deadline. It was supposed to end on the 25th, and we extended it to the 25th. So at this point, it is closed. And thank you, everybody who participated. I'm really satisfied with the numbers. We ended up with 335 surveys out of 423 that were distributed, and that's about 79.4%. So we hit nearly 80%. Our goal was to have 95% participation, which was pretty ambitious. But if at 79%, that's the highest level of participation that Regency Oaks has ever had. So we're really pleased to get those, to get that many responses back from residents, and we anticipate we'll have some results to share with you in 2 to 3 weeks, and you'll be the first to hear about that. We did pretty well at the assisted living and skilled nursing as well. Assisted living, we had an 80% participation, and in skilled nursing, we ended up with 60%. Skilled nursing is always notoriously difficult to do because family members are not on site, and they're difficult to grab, and there are multiple family members, and so that's pretty consistent. 60% is pretty consistent with where we've been in the past, and so 2 to 3 weeks we'll have some results, and I look forward to sharing that with you. Who wants a town hall update? So I finally have some dates and some information that I'm comfortable sharing, and we will no longer have to define things in terms of soon. The city has notified us that the building permits have been approved, and that they're not in our hands, but they are in processing. And so I don't know exactly what that means, but the building department has turned it over to the administrators, and the administrators are processing the permits. We do have a new general contractor. It's a company called Schaefer. Any of my engineers know or have heard of Schaefer? Any engineers? No? Schaefer is a very large national construction company. It's located out of Kentucky. I think it's Lexington. They have a Lakeland office here in Florida where they do a number of senior living projects, so they have experience in the field. Contract has been executed, and they are on board. So we're ready to go. And I have a demolition start date the second week of December. That's when they'll come out and they'll start ripping out the trees and the decks and the grading, getting ready for a vertical construction start date of January 17th. So that's exciting, and I know it's been delayed with numerous unanticipated issues, but the town hall, the wellness center, and the spa are all going to get started. And just for, because it's been a while since I've spoken about this, just a recap of what we're doing, and I'll keep it brief. This area, the old town hall, becomes a state-of-the-art fitness center, and it's includes updated cardiovascular machines, the bikes and the treadmills and the walkers. We are building a new town hall. It's just about twice this size with a permanent stage, and that is going in the area behind the Arts and Crafts woodworking shop. There is a new suite of offices that is going behind the woodworking shop and arts and crafts. That's consists of 11 offices. We will be getting all those department managers who are currently in apartments throughout the campus back into office space so that we can return those units to revenue generating space. And then we will be converting the beauty shop we'll take the old bank and be adding a spa. And so it'll become a beauty salon, spa, wellness center, and there are some really great toys that Bobby Belcher and her team helped us pick out that are state of the art and will change how you think about relaxation and spas. So that is exciting, and I am going to turn it over to Tiffany.
Oh, I think Renee's going to do it. Thank you.
Good morning, Regency Oaks. How are you? I'm so happy to see you all. I feel like it's been like 6-7 months. I don't know. What did we do different? Has anyone gotten taller, shorter? I'm not sure. Right. I know exactly. So this morning, I just wanted to give you some highlights. I know the campus has been kind of slow and non-active, but we are very, very, very excited to get back to a new normal. That's what we're calling it. Because we want to make sure that the activities here are lively and fun, because what's the best place to live? Right here, because the food's good and the activities are great. So I just wanted to give you a highlight of what we have going on this week for Halloween, all of our spooky and cool things that's going on. So if you haven't noticed, in the Grand Lobby South, we have the pumpkins. Every single year it gets pretty competitive here at Regency Oaks. Each department does their representation of a pumpkin. I feel like if you have seen the activities one, make sure to vote for that one. It's a pretty little pig, and she's a rose gold. So she's fantastic. Just as extra as all activities here, so she's beautiful. But please stop by, vote for your favorite pumpkin. You get your orange slip of paper, put that on there, whether it's housekeeping, dining, North Kitchen. Just make sure to put those specifications in there and drop it in the bucket. Just vote once, though, unless it's for the pig, for ours. Unless it's for ours. As well as we have our Halloween cocktail party, as well as we're inviting all residents, unless you, if you feel comfortable, please dress up with us. We love, love, love the costume party each year. It always gets so creative and festive, and it's honestly the best part about what Regency Oaks stand for is because we're so festive and fun. So we have that Thursday at 4 p.m. in the Grand Lobby South. It was supposed to be in the breezeway, but if you don't know, it's like 76% rain on Thursday. So we had to make a very quick change. I guess they're trying to cool down the weather for us. So that is going to be Thursday at 4 p.m. in the Grand Lobby South. So we set up like our usual cocktail party. The food will be in the South Lobby, and then we will continue on to the Grand Lobby South. And we have some very, very fun things coming up for the holiday season, Christmas, all of the festive things, just to really kick off the year. And hopefully next year we'll have our new town hall. So we're keeping our fingers crossed for that. But please keep us, make sure to be as safe as possible. If you are in a large group with unfamiliar faces, wear your mask, wash your hands, so that we can keep having fun. Thank you.
All right. One last thing is mark your calendar for the marquee event of the year, December 16th. The Not Ready for... 15th?
Wednesday.
15th?
15th.
The Not Ready for Primetime players will be back with their rendition of The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. We'll be offering it 2 times, and if you want to see your department heads make a total, absolute fool of themselves, please come out and enjoy it. We will all be there, and looking forward to another annual production to share with the residents. We'll be offering it twice. It's a dinner theater format. All right, questions and answers.
Morning, Bart. How are you?
Wonderful.
Brad, I've had a lot of people ask for clarification on mask wearing, when not.
So we are completely reopened. And so whether it's small group, large groups, families who are visiting, the community is reopened. Now, having said that, here is our policy on mask. If you are a resident, we recommend you wear a mask. when you're out in public. If you are out in the community at large, I wear a mask when I'm out in the community. We recommend that you wear a mask as well. If you are a staff member directly serving a resident, a housekeeper, a server in our dining room, a maintenance staff, if you are in an apartment directly serving a resident, you are required to wear a mask. If you are a staff member in a corridor, sitting at a desk, out in public areas, but not interacting in a close one-on-one situation, a mask is not required, it is recommended.
About dining room.
So same way, if my servers are in the dining room serving you, they are required to wear a mask. You are only required to, residents are only required to wear a mask while in the salad bar or the buffet line.
Well, when you say out and about in the community, because there's so much controversy around here about what you said. When you say out and about in the community, you mean Publix, CVS, Walgreens, etc. When we are simply walking down to get our mail within the Regency Oaks community, we do not have to wear a mask unless we want to.
That's
right?
correct. That's correct. And so here's the thing about mask wearing. So if you have any symptoms whatsoever, if you are sneezing, coughing, you need to wear a mask, period. And so that's because masks prevent the spread of germs. It diffuses the output and protects others. And so that's the first thing you need to say. The second thing you need to say about a mask is we know about both Delta and original COVID. It's an airborne contaminant. It's not spread by touching things. It's airborne, and there are two important things. It has to be indoors to be dangerous, and you have to have an extended period of time. We call it time over target. You've got to be in an isolated area indoors for up to 40 minutes in order to be at risk of catching COVID. If you get in an elevator with someone who is COVID positive and they're coughing and sneezing and it's just a bad situation, you're not going to get COVID. The odds are you're not going to get COVID because the time of the exposure is not significant. And so that's why when you're just going down to get the mail and you're just having an interaction with someone you see in a hallway, even if they're COVID positive, you're not at high risk because it's indoors, but it lacks the time over target. That's the key component. And so when we say we recommend it, it's always a good practice, but it is not required. Got a mic coming your way.
What is the time factor on this in terms of being in contact with someone?
40 minutes. Yeah, so indoors, 40 minutes, you start to become at risk. Now the other thing is so you might ask, well, if that's the case, we've been in here, we're indoors, it's 40 minutes, are we at risk? Yes, you are. But why am I willing to take that? Because it's mitigated. How many are vaccinated? There you go. That's why we can do it. If I had 15 family members that I didn't know in here, I'd tell every one of us, get your mask on. But it's who we are. I know who's vaccinated.
You said we're getting new locks on our doors. I'm concerned about what kind of object we're going to need to carry around as a key to get in our apartments.
Anyone, do you have your fob on you? Anyone have a fob? Thank you. So the fob you're currently using is what it's going to look like for your apartment, something very, very similar. And the fob is, will grant you access to entry doors and to your specific apartment. So these things are not interchangeable. And so your fob, the great thing about the fob is it allows us to know who goes where. And so if I give a housekeeper a fob and I authorize her to do the 5th floor P wing because she's a housekeeper, I'm going to know, first off, I can limit her. You're only on the P wing today, a 5th floor. The second thing, I'm going to know which apartments you went into on the 5th floor P wing and at what time. I'll know what time you went in, what time you went out. And so it just is going to give us so much more control over our keys so that we just have better key control.
What happens when I take my wash down to the laundry room and I forget my fob and my shorts?
We may have to put a phone in all the laundry rooms because it will the door will lock automatically when you pull it shut, and so you don't have the option of being able to leave your door unlocked as you had in the past. They are automatic lockers, and if you lose your fob, you're not going to be able to get in. So you can get in. Well, a master. I mean, so if you lock yourself out, then someone, maintenance, front desk, security, is going to have to come and let you in using a master.
In the beginning, there'll be a lot of.
In the beginning, it will be very difficult. We will lock 30, 40 people out a day.
Like expansion thing.
Similar to what they look like. They're fairly big. Yeah, they won't go in the door. They'll go next to the door jamb.
I have a question in that our daughters live in the area. They have a key to our apartment. How are they going to be able to get in if we're not here and we want them to get in?
So they would have to go through the front desk.
So all we'll have to do is tell the people at the front desk that they are allowed to go in at any time.
Yes, and
And
security.
then they will allow it.
And security would escort, or whoever, front desk, security, maintenance, would escort them down to the apartment, grant them access, but they would have to do it every time they went in and out of the apartment.
When's this going to happen?
Before the end of the year.
Those little stretchy bands that you can wear around your wrist, little expansion things,
They're really cheap. I think you can get a pack of them of like 3 or 4 for $1 or $2, something like that. And they're not that much trouble to slip on your wrist and wear them whenever you leave your apartment.
most of our pants don't have pockets.
A nice gesture.
There you go.
I don't have pockets in my pants. I would like them to be.
All right.
Brad, you didn't say so, but I assume both adults in apartments will get a key.
That's correct. Yeah. That is correct. Now, so if there are 2 of you, you each will get 2 fobs.
You each will get a.
Yeah, but now here's another little interesting trick. And so we've had issues with their 2 of you. You get 2 fobs and you give a fob to the adult kid. If you're in your apartment and your fob is in the apartment because you are, the second fob isn't going to work the door, the exterior door. And so it's going to prevent kids from being able to go through a side door and force the kids to go through the front door where we know that they're in the building.
That means I can lock Doug out?
You can lock Doug out.
So that means that they'll have to come, whoever is in the apartment has to come and open the door for you when you come back?
No, you have to go to so it's, oh, I see what you're saying. So
In
it's,
other words, if Wayne is asleep and I'm gone somewhere and then I come back, I can't get in.
you can, it depends on where the fob started. And so if you stay in the apartment, Wayne's outside and he has his fob, he'll be able to come and go normally. If you give it to the adult child and it's been off campus for 24 hours, it will null and void.
Over here, Brad. Brian, as surprised it is, I'm not, what about the tavern? What's the deal on?
Servers is the deal on the tavern. And so I don't have servers to do the tavern, our specialty dining, the grill on the breezeway, Bella Row, which is our pizza oven. I don't have staff. And so we are continuing to hire and focus on getting servers. It's not my cooking staff. I have all my cooks, my supervisors. We've made progress, but it's staffing that is preventing us from opening the tavern. Yes, sir.
Is memory care still on the agenda somewhere sometime?
Is memory care still on the agenda somewhere sometime? So Peak was out here last week to visit Regency Oaks, and they brought the entire team. Matt Harrison, who is the senior vice president, he is the portfolio manager for the Peak portfolio. He was here. He brought his finance people, he brought his construction people, and he brought his project management people. So they really weren't here to look at the town hall because that's sort of a done deal. So they were looking at campus expansion, and it is not. So here's the answer. It is not off the board. It is still on the radar. There has been some recent activity because they flew all the way to California to come look at it. But do I have anything definitive to share? No, other than to say that it is still being looked at, and I know it's still a priority with Peak.
How about assisted living?
Same thing. That whole project is building of a freestanding assisted living, somewhere between 52 and 64 units, conversion of the existing assisted living to memory care, and then converting our 60 semi-private beds in skilled nursing to 60 private beds in skilled nursing. So those are the three projects that are out there. Let's be honest. Here's what's really happening. This is my 2 cents. So don't call Peak and say Brent said. Well, you can say Brent said, but this is not coming from Peak. So our skilled nursing is sitting at 50% occupancy. I don't have any staff. The rest of the skilled nursing and assisted living throughout the portfolio is having the exact same problem. They don't have any staff. And so is there a tremendous appetite out there from Peak's perspective to invest $30 million in building a memory care assisted living? Probably not right now. I mean, that just makes sense. But here's the one thing, and I keep telling, trust me, I talk to Peak about this every time they're here. Our skilled nursing and assisted living at Regency Oaks has been full for 13 consecutive years. We are always full. I could be full tomorrow if I had the staff to provide the care. It's not an occupancy issue with Regency Oaks. A lot of the communities, they don't have the occupancy and they couldn't get it. It's a staffing issue. I have a solution for the staffing. Other communities, they don't have a solution for the occupancy. That's a bigger problem. We can solve the occupancy as soon as we solve the staffing issue. Make sense?
Yeah.
Two questions, please. One, back to Fox a minute. Say I have a lady come and they pick up laundry and go to the laundry to do washing and drying, and they come back. How do they get in? Do I have to give them my fob or what?
So, do they work for you or is it one of our systems?
It's one of yours.
So if you're hiring IHS and they're providing assistance in the apartment, they will have their own fob.
Assistant, innovation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Innovation Health Service.
Health services, yeah.
Second question, please. What is the status of our in-house TV?
One other fob question before I move on, and then I'll get back to the in-house TV. If you have guests who are coming and they're going to be here an extended period, where they're here for 3 days, a long weekend, or a week, we'll give them a fob. So that they're free to come and go and have access.
That's good.
Yeah, so that's that question. On our in-house TV, we have not made progress that is measurable, and here's the reason for that. At the end of last year, we invested about $300,000 in state-of-the-art Wi-Fi that we ran down the corridors in all of the buildings. And so if you go and stand in the corridor, you have wonderful Wi-Fi. Now, we haven't turned on the broadband, and so there's, not only you can't do much with it, you can't stream with it, but it has incredible capacity once we turn it on. We can have 20 residents in one repeater, and each of them can stream a show and work their phone, and if they have a laptop, they could pull something up off the internet. It has massive capabilities. Unfortunately, we cannot get that signal into the apartments. We've been testing, we've been doing, Jacob with ACS has been out here, Spectrum has been out here. It will not go through those solid concrete walls. It will go through one, but it won't go through multiple. So if the repeater is outside your bedroom, it will go through that first wall, that's the corridor wall, but it won't go through that bedroom wall into the living room or out to the lanai. We just can't get it to work. And so we are having to look at options to get that signal in. And where I think we're headed is that every single apartment is going to have a repeater. That's sort of where the experts seem to be going, is the only way to make this work. And it's very similar to how it's working now. Any of you who have high-speed internet in the apartment, you have to have a modem. Router. Thank you. Have to have a router. Same concept, only it's going to be off of a repeater, which is a little quicker and allows for better signal strength. So we're working on it, but we're still several months out.
About the fob for the guests, do they have to stay in the guest rooms?
No, they can stay in your apartment.
Not in mine.
On the dining rooms and tavern, you probably haven't thought about this, but as you get more servers, what would come first? Eliminating the buffet in the dining rooms or opening the tavern? And just something to think about. Well, because that's going to make a difference, maybe.
Yeah.
And would you open it at nighttime?
Yeah.
The tavern full open, or you won't really know that till you get the service?
So those are great questions, and that's really the answer. Is we haven't had enough servers to think about that. But that's a really good thought. Is do you open the tavern for a portion of that, and then leave the buffets in the dining room? That's something we have to consider.
Breakfast and lunch is what really, that worked pretty well.
Yeah.
When we were doing that.
Yeah. So here's one of the challenges for us. Think about this. So it's not my cooks, it's my servers. And so if I open the tavern for breakfast and lunch, I have two operations ongoing. because I'm also operating at the north building for lunch. And so it's double the staffing. And so that's the complication, is it's a lot more efficient if I'm in just the north and the south as opposed to the tavern, which is a third operation. But that's something we'll have to consider. A lot of input we can take on that.
To dinner.
Say again.
Can we invite guests for dinner?
Please, yes, your family, your guests are welcome to come to the community.
Let's do a table.
To a table. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. It was great to see you again, and we'll be back next Tuesday.